Grateful for the opportunity to be back into the field of 64. Very excited about the opportunity to take our team down to Ole Miss. None of our guys have been there before. Beautiful ballpark, great field. Playing the University of Illinois in the first game. Certainly a tough test for our team, but our guys are very, very excited about it. And just excited to get started. Got a great practice scheduled for this afternoon. And we'll try to do everything we can to prepare our team for this weekend. So again, just grateful that we're getting the opportunity to continue our season, and looking forward to getting to Ole Miss.
Any level of nervousness coming into today in terms of getting in the field?
Well, there's always a level of nervousness and worry. I think any coach that when you know you're on the bubble, so to speak, in the uncertainty, it's not a 100% guarantee, but we looked at the metrics after the Louisville win and felt like we were in good shape. We felt like we were in the whole time. But again, you just never know. Again, it's the committee looks at all the factors. They look at all the metrics and all the teams, and they felt like we were worthy of being in the field of 64, and we're certainly grateful that they felt that way.
Coach, you always say that you get your momentum from your starting pitcher. Obviously, Matt Clark is the best guy you've got right now. What is your philosophy as far as do you use him in the first game, or do you maybe save him in case you play Mississippi in the next game? How does that work, or is it all scouting?
Well, we just found out we're in the field of 64, so we'll start to talk about those things as soon as we're done with practice. But I think you can look at it a couple different ways. I think you have to look at your depth in starting pitching, and you have to figure out what you feel like for your team is the best scenario starting pitching-wise to win the regional. We obviously know how important winning game one is, but you also want to put yourself in a position to win the regional. So we'll look at those things. We certainly have not decided that, but Matt Clark's going to start one of them, whether he starts game one or he starts game two. We just have to look at the University of Illinois, number one, and figure out what's the best matchup against them out of the starting pitchers that we have available. And then also from a lineup standpoint, what's the best lineup for us to run out there against them? So Matt's obviously going to pitch one of the games. We have not decided if he's going to throw game one or throw game two yet. So we'll cross that bridge once we get a chance as a staff to actually look at Illinois and talk after our practice today and start preparation for the regional.
Is any success at this time of the year, especially looking at the dynamics of your team this season, based on the effectiveness of your pitching, no matter who's out there for you? Does it really come down to that?
Yeah, it does. Again, you're going to win a lot of baseball games when the other team doesn't score. You have to pitch and play defense. I think that's critical. And you look at our team this year, our offense has been pretty solid. It's been pretty good. Second half of the year, we've had some games where we didn't pitch as well as we would like to, but we've got a full staff. We've also been banged up a little bit. We've had weekends where Holt was not available for multiple times. We've had to push Davis Sharp back. Sharp hasn't thrown in a while. We've had weekends where Matt Clark was not available. So we've had weekends where we didn't go in at full strength, but that's everybody. Everybody's got to deal with that. We're at full strength right now. So bottom line is we got to pitch, we got to play defense, and we got to find a way to hit with runners on base when we get those opportunities, because that's what it's going to boil down to in a regional, because you're facing quality arms, quality teams that typically aren't going to give up a bunch of runs.
In addition to Matt, do you know who else would be in the conversation to start?
Yeah, the guys that would be in conversation to start are going to be Hennessy, Sharp, and Clark. Now those three guys will be in that conversation. We just have to decide again who we're going to go with in game one and game two, and haven't had an opportunity to even talk to our staff about it right now, simply because we practiced on Saturday. We were off. We gave them Sunday off, and we reconvened this morning to watch the selection show midday, and we're getting ready to practice now. So as a staff, we haven't had an opportunity to really talk about it, but we wanted to make sure that we scouted the opponent a little bit first, to figure out what we feel like is the best matchup.
With Hennessy, what have you seen from him down the stretch? It seems like he's giving you guys a boost and has really been throwing well lately.
Jacob has been very consistent. I think the lack of innings, quite honestly, in the first half of the season, you see his velocity. His velocity is up. He's pitching more in that 86 to 88 range, especially for his first 50 pitches or so. And a big key for him, too, is just being able to mix his slider and his changeup. When he's got command of his slider, he's really good. When you zero in on his fastball, if he doesn't have his off speed, that's when he gets hit a little bit. So it's really important for Jacob to be able to throw 3 pitches in the strike zone, but his velocity's up a little bit. His first 2 years in the program, he wore down as the season went on. His arm's pretty fresh right now, so that looks good for us.
What has Jacob's mental makeup kind of been this year, Monte? Went from being a guy who looked like maybe he wasn't going to be able to make an impact this year, all of a sudden he's been very effective for you guys.
Well, like most competitors, he wants the baseball, and I don't think he was very happy about the fact that he wasn't a weekend starter early in the year, and I actually like that about him. I didn't want him to be happy about it. If guys are happy about not being a starter, then you probably got the wrong makeup kind of guys, quite honestly. So Jacob wasn't happy that he wasn't starting, but he didn't. It's not like he pouted or complained or anything like that. He kept working. He took the ball when we gave him the ball out of the bullpen, and when we started him, he made his starts and he did what he's supposed to do. So Jacob's a great teammate. He's a great competitor. He has tremendous confidence in himself, and he'll be ready to go if we decide that we're going to start him in the first or second game, whatever we decide, or whether we're going to pitch him out of the bullpen. He's going to take the ball and try to help our team win, but I think he handled it like a professional, but he wasn't happy about it, and that's the way it should be. When guys who have been weekend starters are not in the weekend starting rotation, I don't expect them to be happy about it if they like to compete. So, Jacob will be ready to go in whatever role we decide, is best for him, and I'm excited about seeing how he does this weekend.
Grayson and Logan have been in quite the groove lately. It's been kind of fun on the side to watch that battle go on because they've really been on fire.
Yeah, they're 2 elite players. Those are 2 guys that are going to have their name called here in a little over a week and get a chance to keep playing. And Birdie was one of the hottest hitters in the country, over the last 10 to 12 games in the regular season. Logan's been one of the most consistent players, for us over the last 3 years, and has been swinging the bat well. And, don't forget to mention Michael Green. Our team's a whole lot different with Michael Green in the lineup. So a healthy Michael Green is a difference maker if he's hitting in that one spot. So that certainly is going to bode well for us. You get those 3 guys swinging the bat well, and you got Kyle Wilkie, who's been swinging the bat well also here lately. But we've got to be able to find good balance 5 down. That's going to be a big key for us over the course of this weekend is what kind of production do we get from the number 5 spot down. 1 through 4, I expect to do what they do. 5 down's got to give us some quality at bats and grind out some at bats.
You mentioned Logan's consistency. Have you seen a certain degree of growth even in this 3rd year in the program in Logan this season? What have you seen? Logan's
always been able to hit. Logan's always been able to hit, and he's always been able to run. I think that Logan has become the premier defensive shortstop in the country. It's a great feeling when a ball is hit on the ground in his direction, and you're out. So we kind of joke about it every time somebody hits it to him. It's like, don't hit it to that guy because you're out. He's just so consistent. I feel like his growth has come defensively, maybe more so than offensively. Offensively, he's been pretty dang good for his 3 years here. He's hit double-digit home runs every year. He's hit around 300. He's drove in around 50. He's kind of been consistent offensively all 3 years here. Defensively is where I feel like he's gotten better and better and better and more consistent.
Is there any different mindset you take when you go on the road in the NCAA tournament, or is it all NCAA tournaments, NCAA tournament?
NCAA tournaments, NCAA tournament. I think that for us it's going to be a lot of fun. There's not a lot of pressure on us, right now. We get to go on the road and go play somewhere else, and we'd love to be hosting a regional here. We all know the expectations of the program here is to put together a regular season to where you can host a regional. So, but bottom line is we get to play in the field of 64, and we're going to go on the road and we're going to have a good time. We're going to compete, and hopefully we play good baseball. If we play good baseball, we can compete with anybody. Look at what we did against Louisville this year. We beat them 3 out of 4. We beat North Carolina three times. We can play with anybody when we put together quality pitching, defense, and good situational hitting. We can play with anybody in the country, but we're going to need to do that this weekend if we want to advance.
Coach, you'll be scouting Illinois the next couple of days. They beat Wake Forest. They took 2 or 3 against Coastal Carolina. Is there anything you can take from that, just in common opponents and the way that they hit certain pitchers and so forth?
Not really. I think the first thing you got to look at when you're looking at an opponent is their starting pitching and what their starting pitching does against certain hitters. What do the split stats look like, righty, lefty, and then offensively, what do they look like, their best hitters? How do they match up versus left-handers and right-handers? Obviously we'll try to talk to some folks who have played them to get a feel for, what they saw when they, the true eyeball test outside of stats and outside of video, because sometimes video and stats don't always tell you the story. You need to have those conversations with coaches who have been in that other dugout and played against this team. So we're going to do all of that. We'll get our scouting reports together. We'll talk to people who have played them. We'll also watch a lot of video on them. We've got video access of everybody we play. So we'll do our homework, and we'll make sure we're as prepared as we can be, and make sure that we relay the message as simple as we can relay it to our players, because ultimately it's about our players. Our players have to execute. That scouting report doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't execute. So that's the bottom line. Players got to play.
And the irony of the fact that you were talking about not being so powerful this year, and I know the home run number was down, but still 79 leads the nation.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I'd have thought we would have hit close to 80 home runs this year. I felt like we would run more. Felt like we would be able to steal some bases. I think we've stolen close to 100. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. And had we had Kier Meredith and Michael Green healthy the whole year, we would have certainly stolen over 100 bases. So I feel like our offense has been in a good place. I think postseason wise though, we've got to limit our strikeouts. The one thing that is a concern of mine offensively is just how many empty outs we have sometimes as a lineup. We get 27 outs, and 27 outs is the most precious thing you have on the offensive side of things. We don't want to give anybody outs, but sometimes when 9 or 10 of those are strikeouts, we have to run into balls and hit balls out of the ballpark to score runs. So to me, can we? The challenge is going to be can we be a balanced offense that puts pressure on the defense, fights pitches off, 2-strike hitting, those types of things. Is going to make or break us offensively in the postseason. So hopefully we can put together competitive at-bats and score runs for our pitching staff.
With the elite level he's thrown at, has Matt Clark maybe exceeded your expectations in some ways this year?
I mean, I don't know if I would say he's exceeded expectations. He's been very good for us. He was really good for us last year as a redshirt freshman out of the bullpen. He made one start, if I'm not mistaken, against Kennesaw State. We stretched him out in the ACC tournament against Notre Dame last year, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, Matt Clark's one of those guys that, you don't even know if his heart's really beating. If you just talk to him, he doesn't get too emotional about anything. I mean, he even in the game that he pitched against Louisville, he said he didn't feel that great in the bullpen, and he just kind of went out there and pitches. That's kind of what he does all the time. I've never really seen him show a lot of anxiety or nerves or emotion. He just kind of goes out there and does what he does, and he gets people out. He's been getting people out ever since he was in high school. He's always been that kind of guy. I've never seen him pitch where he didn't give a quality start and do some good things. So, obviously the Louisville start was an amazing start for him. And can he build off of that and give us a chance whenever we decide to pitch him this weekend? We feel very confident when he toes the rubber. There's no guarantee. But he's been our most consistent guy. I mean, just look at over the course of the season, and he's been our most consistent starter. He just doesn't look like a number one starter. I think that's the thing that people, when they look at him, he's undersized. He doesn't throw very hard. But again, he just misses barrels. That's just what he does. And guys that have a track record, pretty much, do that, day in and day out. Guys that hit, and guys that pitch. And he's one of those guys. He just goes out there and pitches.
You told me a couple of weeks ago you probably try to get a medical red shirt for Kier unless you make a deep run in the tournament. Any chance at all he plays in the regional? Okay.
No. Mm-mm.